I don't think anyone should ever underplay the significance the rapper B.O.B. has had in Flat Earth history. In the year 2016, B.O.B. went to Twitter and told the world that he was a Flat Earther and challenged it to prove him wrong. He said, "A lot of people are turned off by the phrase Flat Earth, but there's no way you can see all the evidence and not know. Grow up." Before that time, there weren't very many Flat Earthers on YouTube yet. According to Mark Sargent, Math Powerland had the very first Flat Earth YouTube channel, which was followed by Eric Dubay in the second half of 2014. Mark Sargent then got his channel up and going in February of 2015 with his Flat Earth Clues. That then inspired Jeranism to start his channel, and then woke Rob Skiba up to Flat Earth. There were several others around in those days as well. Mark Sargent did a great job of mentioning them in episode 12 of his Strange World series, which he entitled Flat Earth Friends. And though there was some infighting in those days, where not every channel got along because different people had different models, I have to say I love the way Mark Sargent responded to it all. Other Flat Earthers would badmouth him, call him a shill, call him controlled opposition, but I never heard him badmouth anyone back. And he still recommended their videos. He was like, "Hey, if you got good content, I'm going to recommend your channel, whether you like me or not." So respect to you, Mark Sargent. That is the way to handle things, and it shows me whose side you are really on. Anyway, we can describe from 2014 on as the beginning of Flat Earth's second Great Awakening, with the first being in 1838 with Samuel Robotham. Now, I'm not sure when B.O.B. became a Flat Earther, but in 2016, when he spoke up about it on Twitter, after that the internet blew up in Flat Earth awareness. And since Mark Sargent was the only Flat Earth channel talking about it at the time, as far as I can tell, I'll let him describe it.
He comes out and does really what kind of Tila Tequila did, where he launches into a Twitter rant.
Right.
And he aims, and just calling out everything and, ties it in with the song, which he released. And what was interesting, I'd like your feedback on this, what I found more interesting than the rant itself, which everybody picked up on, was what really amped it up, was less than 12 hours later, yesterday morning, Neil deGrasse Tyson tweets back and tries to shut him down.
The B.O.B., the rapper, I have a video letter to him, the transcript of which is in Letters from an Astrophysicist. That rose to that level of attention because he started saying, "I am using laws of math and physics to show Earth is flat." Those are fighting words. You're going to say using math and physics? That is an alarm to the geekiverse that we must rise up and counteract these forces from the dark side that are out there. So the bat signal went up. I responded. What is the bat signal? Oh, sorry. In my Twitter stream, there were people saying, "Neil, you got to do something about B.O.B. Save him from himself. He's saying Earth is flat." Then I first said, "Who's B.O.B.?" So I quickly looked at him. Oh, it's a rap star. Okay. These are people who follow me and B.O.B. in the Twitterverse. So what does that Venn diagram look like? How much overlap is there in the two Venn diagrams? In this slice, however narrow, they were pleading to me to do something. And so I responded with a video letter, just kind of putting him in his place. I think it's important to combat people who are claiming that they are using math, science, evidence, and physics behind their cause, when in fact they either aren't or they're using it badly. That needs to be called out.
Doesn't call him, doesn't send him a private email, doesn't, have his people call my people and that sort of thing. No, he does it publicly on the internet.
But B.O.B. wouldn't back down.
He pushes back on his critics and stands firm in his belief that the earth is flat.
First of all, don't call me woke. I seen they was plotting. They put Neil Tyson on TV to make a mockery of it. Yo, these shows be owned by Viacom and their friends. Why would I walk into the Lions Den, sit and pretend like they ain't gon' comply. I mean, if I said the sky was purple, would it have been such a crime? Charlemagne the God and Lil Duval tried to tarnish my image. Could've just gave me a call.
And it turns into a back and forth where neither side is going to back down. And it got amazing out there to where you know, it's like I type in flat earth right now. I'm just going to type it into Bing, but you can use Yahoo or Google or whatever. I just happen to type it into Bing. And I mean, the first 50 hits are basically, you know, it is the who. Here's Los Angeles Times 8 minutes ago, Yahoo News, Time Magazine, CNN, Fox, Esquire Magazine, MTV, VH1, ABC. It just goes on and on. Basically, if there's a media, in fact, I had a friend call me just before the show started. Right. I had a friend, remember the clinical psychologist friend of mine out in Indiana. And she goes, it was like 5 minutes before the show. She goes, "You're never going to guess what I'm looking at on my phone." And I go, "I don't know." I go, "What?" She goes, "It's on NPR." She goes, "Do you know anything about this rapper guy?" And I go, "Yeah, I do, because he keeps using some of my lines. He's used my thing where he said, you know, do your own research and ask questions," which I say at the end of every clue. Yeah, of course he doesn't mention my name. He said that. I'm going, you know, he's in. He's all the way in. And this thing, media explosion. Basically, if there's a media outlet, they are covering it.
So this thing went viral, and even world-renowned super scientist and friend of the night, the show, Neil deGrasse Tyson, got involved and refuted some of B.O.B.'s retrograde nonsense, which prompted B.O.B. to release a diss track called Flatline. Here's a taste.
Neil Tyson need to loosen up his vest. They probably write that man one check. Flatline, flatline. You got me once, but that died. Ay.
Oh,
Science Emergency Defense Program initiated.
This B.O.B. BS about the Earth being flat is getting out of control. Can you please help us?
The Earth isn't flat.
Now let's go take a look at some of B.O.B.'s other Twitter tweets that got Neil Tyson so riled up. Let's go see the kind of evidence that B.O.B. was referring to here.
It started out as a Twitter spat between rapper B.O.B. and astrophysicist Neil deGrasse Tyson over flat Earth theory. The rapper tweeting out, pointing out questions about the lack of proof that the Earth is round. But Tyson was less on facts and more on ridicule, so B.O.B. set it to music.
Use your common sense. Why is NASA part Department of Defense? They divided up the seas into 33 degrees, feeding kids masonry. Bro, be careful what you read. Flatline, flatline. There's no superior bloodline.
But not to be outdone, Tyson released his own rap response.
I'm not sure what it was that really made you think that you could disrespect the Tyson and your ship won't sink. I mean, whoa, can't fool the people, Bob, they know what's up. I'm in the Hayden Planetarium getting shoulder rubs. I think it's very clear that Bobby didn't read enough, and he's believing all this conspiracy theory stuff.
His nephew's pretty good.
His nephew did that.
Yeah, B.O.B. isn't the first celebrity to question the dominant paradigm, joining MTV's Tila Tequila, and he may not be the last. So Tyson's track may not be the last word. It really is a serious issue.
B.O.B. shared a picture of these two cities out in the distance there and said, "The cities in the background are approximately 16 miles apart. Where is the curve? Please explain this." Neil Tyson responded by saying, "Earth's curve indeed blocks 150, not 170 feet of Manhattan. But most buildings in Midtown are way taller than that." Which I think is kind of an odd response considering B.O.B. was looking for some kind of x-axis curvature, not z-axis curvature. But maybe there's more to this conversation that we are missing. Neil Tyson's response here sounds a bit more on target.
All right, listen, B.O.B., once and for all. The Earth looks flat because, one, you're not far enough away at your size. Two, your size isn't large enough relative to Earth to notice any curvature at all. It's a fundamental fact of calculus and non-Euclidean geometry. Small sections of large curved surfaces will always look flat to little creatures that crawl upon it.
Here, Neil appears to be alluding to a prior statement he made back in April of 2014. Back in the very beginning of Flat Earth's second Great Awakening.
Oh, okay, so if the Earth were actually this size, the International Space Station would be orbiting about a half an inch above the surface. And that dude who jumped out of a perfectly good balloon What's his name? Felix Baumgartner. He would have been about 2 millimeters above the surface of this globe. That's his edge of space jump. Now, you know, I don't. It's fine. He wants to. I don't have a problem if he does it, but the honesty of it would greatly diminish what I think people thought he was actually doing. And not only that, they made sure to photograph him standing there with a really wide-angle lens, which curves horizontal lines. Right. So in the photo, you see this curvature of Earth's surface, and he said, "Wow, he's in space. Look at that." No, he's not. At that height, you don't see the curvature of the Earth if you are 2 millimeters above this beach ball. You just don't. That stuff is flat. And then I showed examples of wide-angle lenses curving horizontal. I tweeted that.
Just think about this for a moment here. The Red Bull jump was just about 128,000 feet up. That is a lot higher than your average cruising altitude on a plane. How many miles across do you think you can see across the horizon there? Would it be unreasonable to estimate that as being 300 miles across? And yet Neil Tyson was saying you shouldn't see any curvature from up there.
That stuff is flat.
So from the surface of the Earth, Neil Tyson was saying you shouldn't see any curvature at all between those two cities. But you should see some curvature on the z-axis? The Earth's curve should block 150 feet of those cities. Neil Tyson made a similar statement in March of 2018.
So one last thing, which should be obvious, if you pay attention and think about it. If you send a ship straight to the horizon, eventually it begins to disappear until it's no longer visible beyond your horizon.
Right.
And you should ask yourself, what kind of surface would produce that result?
The ocean.
If it's
the ocean has a ramp. It's like a parking lot. The ocean has a ramp.
And it's an elevator.
Yeah, it's an elevator. And you get to a certain point, and they're just like going down.
Seafarers knew this.
Right.
And so, however flat they would have imagined the Earth to be, they couldn't have accepted it to be completely flat, because otherwise you would never not see the ship.
So he is saying you can see curvature from about 3.5 miles away on the z-axis, but you can't see any curvature at all with 300 miles across on the x-axis.
People who think ships are disappearing over the curve in less than 10 miles distance, it's got to work both ways. I mean, if we're on a ball, then when the ship is going away from you on the, let's say, the z-axis, going, from you to a point away from you, and it's rolling over the ball in less than 10 miles, then you should have the exact same effect looking left to right on the x-axis. You should be seeing ships rolling up to the top of the ball and rolling down on the lateral x-axis. If it's a ball, they got to be rolling both ways, away from you and side to side. We never see that though. You can go to the beach and do a panoramic shot and put a parallel line over it, and from end to end, and this is a lot more than just 5 miles, there's no perceived curvature here. None. Flat as a pancake. And in fact, these are some pictures I took on the beach at Malibu, California. And I went from there way up into the mountains above Pepperdine University and looked out. And easily there's got to be probably close to 100 miles left to right. The distance on the horizon there it's got to be, quite a bit there. Put a parallel line over it, flat. So you can't have it both ways. You can't say ships are rolling over the ball on the z-axis without having the same exact perception on the x-axis. I was thinking about that while we were on Lake Michigan. We were on the east coast of the lake looking toward the west. And so if you're standing on the east coast looking toward the west, and you claim that ships are disappearing in 3, 4, 5, 10 miles, whatever, distance, then people who are standing on the southern coastline would make the same claim. If they're on the south looking toward the north, they would say the same thing. Well, I see ships disappearing in 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 miles away. So if the person standing on the south coast looking north is claiming that ships are disappearing, and the person standing on the east coast looking west is saying the same thing, then both people have to observe the alleged curvature that the other person is claiming their ships are going over.
So why do we see boats appear to sink on the horizon if it's not because of the curvature of the Earth? It is because of refraction, the light getting bent as it travels through the atmosphere in accordance with Snell's law. The YouTube channel Sky Free does an amazing video series on this using RC boats. They are way worth checking out. There's also a reason why so many flat earthers go out and do laser tests out in the middle of winter over frozen lakes. It is because that is how you minimize the amount of refraction in the air. When there is less refraction in the air and you can see farther, that proves the flat earth.
I had asked you to debate one of them flat earth guys.
No, I don't. I can't. No.
I know. We talked about it, and we were going to have him on Skype.
No, what we do is, and I think this is a diabolical plot, so that the next time we can ship people en masse into orbit, they all want to be the first in line because they know we're going to send them so that they can see the round Earth. They're going to be the first ones in space. Just so they can stop annoying the rest of us.
I don't think you're correct there.
I don't like debating people because in a debate, what is the construct? It's typically two people and there's an audience and you debate some opposite sides of some issue and then there's a winner of the debate. And then everyone walks away reflecting on the winner. So who wins a debate? It's often the person who's charismatic, who's maybe charming, that's related to charisma, of course, who has a good way with words, good vocabulary. And you can have someone who doesn't have any of that, who is speaking objective truths, who could lose a debate.
Is he saying B.O.B. is more charming, charismatic, and good with words than he is? Or is B.O.B. the one speaking with objective truths?
So then what is the point of the debate if one of these points of view is objectively true? So I will not enter a debate where I have the objectively true side of an argument and the other person does not. That is something that should not be debated, does not belong in front of an audience getting debated. You want to debate something? Debate political policy of what to do in the face of climate change. Do you have carbon tax? Do you solar panels? Do you subsidize them? Debate that. Don't debate something that is or is not objectively true in this world.
Those were some really interesting last words concerning this whole debate with B.O.B. Now compare how much that contrasts with this statement of his from 2019.
If you're an educator, there's a contract between you and the audience. And that contract is, I care how you think. And I'm going to shape information that can best match your receptors for learning. If you don't do that, sit down. Go take up another profession.
That is some interesting contrast there. That is why we hold debates. We care what people think, and we want the truth to get out there. Thank you all for watching.
All right, there's more. One thing every country can agree on, restricted access to the polls. Here's the UN, we believe you. Is there restricted access to the polls? I mean...
They're super cold. You can go there.
mean,
Good luck.
Like, are people banned from going?
None of this makes any sense.
I don't know. Maybe we're the ignorant ones. Maybe, we've been wrong all along.
When you are trained to inquire, you don't either believe everything outright or reject everything outright. You're trained to ask questions. You're trained to probe deeper than the layer of information that comes to you. That's what should be taught in school. And it's not. They give you a book and say, learn this.
Yeah.
And you'll get tested on it. And then when you're done, learn this.